What up? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Hopefully, wherever you are listening to this show, if you are in the gym, if you're in the library, if you're walking on the way to work, you're in the subway, and from whatever location, maybe you're in the United States, maybe you're in Canada, maybe you are in UK, right? You're in Europe or in Australia. Hopefully, you've been enjoying some of the other episodes I've been putting out there. As you know, kind of my hallmark fashion is to bring on people that are raising money every single week. And the reason why I do this is I think it's important to surround yourself with the greatest potential success stories that are out there when you're actually trying to accomplish a new goal, a new objective, when you're trying to level up, right? You got to surround yourself with other people that are seeing results. And I think that kind of like the common mainstream view is that, oh, I'm going to be super jealous, right? I'm going to be really jealous of these people that are seeing success. I think that as creators, inventors, entrepreneurs, artists, and people that listen to this podcast, when you see someone who's successful or you see someone who maybe you don't agree with their product, like, I don't believe that this product could actually raise money, right? That doesn't mean you can't learn from it, right? That doesn't mean you can't actually study the strategy that went behind it and then take those learnings and apply that to your campaign. So that's the whole reason why I started this show. And in today's episode, we did have kind of like, I would say, a gray area when it comes to today's product category. It's kind of like one of those product categories that's going to get a chuckle, okay? It's going to get a little bit of, one of those things you might not want to play publicly, right? If you're listening to the podcast on your speakers at home, right? In the man cave, you probably don't want to be, playing this necessarily that loud. That's just because the product category, I think, is a little bit, touchy when it comes to that. However, today's actual campaign is a great example of how even in that kind of a category, an individual can raise $500,000 doing a WeFunder equity crowdfunding campaign, man. And I'm not making this up. You can go and look this up, right? This is something that is so incredibly profound. And obviously this individual has also created a really unique solution in this particular product category. However, when it comes to this, you got to think about this. If you can actually raise $500K, how would that change your life? How would that change your business? How would that level up your potential and the ability to impact other people around the world? So you're going to discover everything that went into that particular campaign in today's podcast episode. And again, this is for equity crowdfunding, also known as regulation crowdfunding. This is on the WeFunder equity crowdfunding campaign platform. And it's a little bit different than doing a Kickstarter or Indiegogo in that you are actually acquiring investors in your company. When you're doing a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, it's more like you're pre-ordering, putting the product up there for pre-order. Whereas with equity crowdfunding, again, you are acquiring investors. You're doing a raise on the internet, which is now legal based on the Jobs Act and regulation crowdfunding. So in addition, this is a very new area and something that I've been trying to put out more quality, high quality education on. And if you really want to kind of get up to speed of how to do one of these campaigns, you can join my free equity crowdfunding course. So I think this is going to be very valuable for you, particularly if you want to learn how to actually do this. You want to make sure that you are successful in also doing this, and in doing it in an equity course. I think that the great thing about that is you will receive information every single week in your email inbox, and you can kind of turn the learning on autopilot, right? When it comes to that, you don't have to be hunting around for all this really dense information that's difficult to understand and difficult to learn. So go and check out this link at crowdcrux.com/equity course. That link is crowdcrux.com/equity course. Again, crowdcrux.com/equity course. In addition, I have a great book out there called Equity Crowdfunding Explained. And I think a really easy entryway point into this would be the Audible version. Audible to me is one of the greatest tools that's out there because you can be listening to an audiobook while you're driving. You can be listening to it on the way to work. You can be listening to it when you're doing other stuff. You're cleaning your room, you're doing the dishes, right, etc. You can be learning at the same time. So you actually can get a free copy of Equity Crowdfunding Explained if you get a free 30-day trial of Audible using the link I'm about to mention at crowdcrux.com/equity audio. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/equity audio, crowdcrux.com/equity audio. Awesome, man. Let's dive into this interview and discover how this individual was able to raise over $500,000 doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. And it's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Hey, we have a killer interview for you where we're talking with a creator when it comes to WeFunder campaign. They've already attracted more than 500,000 with their campaign, more than 147 investors. And we are lucky enough to have the CEO of Morari Medical here today. And excited to talk about the campaign and kind of get more into what they're doing. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be in here. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Definitely, man. So to get started, maybe you could fill some gaps in that intro and let the listeners know a bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, I am a 25 plus year veteran in the medical device industry. Started my career in neuromodulation and specifically for a company that had an implantable product that was used to manage chronic pain. Electrodes were placed on the spinal cord and the device would power on and mask pain signals. So that's where I became exposed to the area of electrical energy being used to treat various different conditions. And then I went on to another company. And then most recently, I was with a urology company where I spent 4 years and I got exposed to sexual health and wellness and some of the unmet needs that exist within that space. And that combined with my experience of the former company where I managed the chronic pain product led me to this idea of some sort of wearable patch that guys could wear during intercourse to delay an ejaculation. And I kind of sat on the idea for a while, didn't tell my friends, family. I was kind of embarrassed about it, to be honest with you, about, do I really want to do this? How do I tell my friends and family that I want to make a career out of this? But I quickly realized that there was no innovation in the area of premature ejaculation for over 20 years, and that 30% of men suffer from it. And I was shocked by that number. And I just said, that can't be. I mean, it can't be that high because I've never heard about it. And became friends with the urologist. And he kind of guided me and said, well, the reason you don't hear about it is because guys don't talk about it. And I, as a physician, don't like to bring it up because I'm not happy with existing treatment options. So that led me to the formation of Morari Medical, which today I'm the CEO and founder. And I'm focusing 100% of my time on Morari and coming up with a better treatment solution for the millions of couples worldwide that suffer from early ejaculation.
So what made you decide to, leave a corporate career where you've been very successful and do your own thing? I mean, a lot of people have ideas, right? And they have solutions to ideas and problems that are out there, but they don't necessarily make that leap. What made you decide to really make that leap?
Yeah, it was a tough decision because I was, making good income, getting stock options, good company, good security. But, I've always told myself I don't want to be in my deathbed, whenever that is, hopefully later, not sooner, and say, I wish I would have done this or I wish I would have done that. And I had this idea and I sat on it, like I said, for a long time before acting upon it. And, all the research that I was doing just suggested there's a big opportunity here. So, I started to talk to a couple of my close friends, get a couple of business partners into it, and we started putting money into it. And then one of the aha moments for us is we were one of 4 companies that Procter & Gamble invited to their first ever innovation challenge. And, I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to win this. This is Procter & Gamble. They sell toilet paper, toothpaste. They've got, a huge brand out there. They're not going to allow me to get up on their stage at the Consumer Electronics Show and say the words penis, vagina, ejaculation. But we won the pitch.
Wow.
And that was kind of one of those moments to say, wow, if Procter & Gamble can be interested in this, why can't anybody? So that kind of led me to say, okay, I've got to do this because I don't want to look back and say I wish I missed on this opportunity. And most importantly, there's millions of men and couples out there that are suffering from this. So that's where I can stamp my legacy. And whether that's the premature ejaculation guy or one reporter at the Consumer Electronics Show called me the strangest but bravest man at the Consumer Electronics Show. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. And I'm at the point now where, I'm 53. I don't really care what people think of me, right? I mean, I do, but I don't. It's one of those things where I'm marching forward to really trying to help solve an issue for millions of couples worldwide.
And I think a lot of people, would appreciate that you are following that, and you're also working to solve this problem, which I'm sure a lot of people also experience, right? So one of the questions I had for you kind of has more so to do with you deciding to pursue this path of also announcing this publicly that you're doing a raise, right? A lot of people will do more like the traditional approach of going to VCs or angel investors. What made you decide to do regulation crowdfunding or WeFunder?
Yeah, we've debated whether or not we want to do a crowdfunding campaign for a few years internally within the board. And part of the reasons why we didn't go earlier was the feedback that we were getting was from a VC community. VCs view crowdfunding as the funding of last resort. And I just, that scared us, right? We were like, well, we don't want to be seen that way because at some point we're going to need to raise a lot of money because getting awareness out for this condition is going to require some marketing effort. But then as we got into it, then we started to realize that, we're probably too early for VCs. And a lot of VCs have what they call vice clauses, where they won't invest in cannabis, tobacco, gambling, firearms, or sex-related products. And while we have a product that's worn during intercourse, we're trying to solve for a true medical issue. We have had very little traction with VCs. Again, all the excuses, right? You're too early. Come back to us with traction and revenue. Yes, we agree sexual health and wellness is big, but where are some exits that we can look to, because we're all about making money? So as we started to go down that path, we're like, this is not working. It's not probably the right time for us. So then we started raising money through angels and a family office, which has been our source of money coming into the company so far. But crowdfunding for us really was that opportunity to raise money, but also expand our awareness and test messaging that maybe we couldn't do anywhere else. We're going to be a regulated product by the FDA. So when we do have FDA clearance, we have to be very careful what we say. For crowdfunding, what we found is an opportunity really to test messages, test channels. Let's test Google advertising. Let's test LinkedIn advertising. Let's test some of these messages. So we've been able to do that, which there's been some pretty cool insights that we've gotten from that, in addition to raising over $500,000. And then beyond that, it expands our database of potential customers. That have been investors into the company so far.
From what I understand, doing a raise, whether it's with angel investors or VCs or crowdfunding, takes time, and it's kind of challenging, right? Because you want to focus a lot on the product, but you also have to focus on raising money. How long were you preparing for the campaign before it really went live?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned earlier, we talked about it internally for a couple of years as to whether or not it's the right thing to do. But then once we made the decision and got the board supportive of it, it was roughly 3, maybe 4 months of preparation going into it. Everything from the financial review that we needed to working with WeFunder to get the S form in place. We decided to work with an agency to help develop a campaign page and manage most of the elements of the campaign. So that took some time to vet who are the right agency partners to work with. And then, of course, the legal documentation that's needed. So it took a lot longer than I thought, to be honest with you. But the good thing for us is it really helped us refine that business plan, get those disclosure statements. I mean, we, in our Form S that we have, and there's a lot of information about the company that's in there, that's public information now, but it also allowed us to really hone that before we went public with that information. So while it took a long time, the fruits are starting to bear in terms of our efforts so far.
What did it feel like the night before you went live? And you've been doing all this preparation, like you said, you've been really working on this for a while. What did it feel like the night before you went live with that campaign?
Oh, there was a lot of excitement, but a lot of worry, right? It was like, what if this just falls flat on its face? I mean, we put all this time and effort and spent all this money in financial reviews, legal reviews. So it's those typical, what if, you're worried. But at the same time, you're excited because all this work that you've prepared for, you're getting ready to go live. So it's kind of that anticipation of the unknown. And we had done kind of the test the water phase with WeFunder. They require you to get a $50,000 investment from your community before you can go live. So we knew we had something there, and we knew we had some friends and family that wanted to participate in it. So we knew it wasn't going to be a dud, but we just had no idea as to how the WeFunder community would receive it and what that level of response was. So a lot of nervousness, but at the same time, excitement to get it going.
And when you first did then hit the $500,000 mark, what was happening behind closed doors? Like, what was going through your mind at that point?
We were thrilled, right, to be able to get over that $500,000 mark. I mean, that was a milestone for a number of reasons. One of which is that opened up some additional support that WeFunder provides. We haven't actually executed that yet. Their guidance was wait till you're closer to the close of the campaign before you take that perk and do something with it. But knowing that we had $500,000 really confirmed to us, it's like, okay, we met our minimum goal that we were trying for. Now let's anticipate what this could be in the future. So we had just, kind of in the first couple months got to that $500,000 mark. And then it was like, okay, now we can invest a little bit more money. We feel comfortable putting more money and trying some advertising. So it was that comfort, but it was also that, okay, let's really strategically think of what can this do for us moving forward.
Hmm. So just to read through some of what people say for the listeners, you've got a ton of people that is like an outpouring of support, right? We have one person here, looks like it's Peter, who says that he's from Sex Advice for Seniors, seems like a good investment. You got Nurk, who says he got some connection to get you in some stores that will buy your products. You got Pierre, who says Viagra is successful, why not this product? You have other people who say they have conditions that this could help. So you've really had a lot of people that are singing your praises here.
We do, and that for me is the motivation and the inspiration to keep going forward, right? I mean, I've gotten hundreds of email messages from men around the world, outside of this campaign. We've been fortunate to have been written up in Forbes, Men's Health magazine. I and the company were made fun of on the Jimmy Kimmel Live show about a year ago in his monologue.
Really?
So we've got that. Yeah, we actually got a link to that in the campaign page. So I think
there's no such thing as bad press, right?
that's right. And I mean, he made fun of me in a good way and made fun of the company in a good way and raised awareness. And it's funny, actually, last night was the Super Bowl here in the United States. And there was a commercial on, I think it was during the third quarter by Ram trucks. And they talked about premature electrification. So they kind of did off of premature ejaculation, had these couples talking about, oh, I don't want to prematurely have my battery, when I'm pulling this big trailer. So, whether it's Jimmy Kimmel talking about it, whether it's Ram kind of alluding to premature ejaculation, what we're seeing is society having more acceptance to being able to have these discussions. And it's not just premature ejaculation, sexual health and wellness in general. So I think what we're seeing through the comments on the WeFunder page is that acceptance and that, that willingness of people to look for other solutions, look for other treatments, and have that hope that something else exists out there. So we're pre-revenue. We don't have revenue coming in yet. So, we're hoping that we'll be able to go to all these people that are providing these comments with a solution that will provide some benefit and improve their overall sexual health and wellness.
And talk to me about market size. How big of a problem would this be if you can successfully solve it?
Oh, it's 30% of men can't last more than a minute. And that's been validated in the medical literature. So that's not some market research. I mean, this is in the medical literature. And there's another 40% based on our estimates that don't meet the clinical definition of premature ejaculation, but just want to last longer. So clinically, it's roughly defined as 1 minute or less after penetration, an ejaculation occurs, or if early ejaculation leads to stress or distress in your life. So if you look at that 1 minute mark, I mean, there's a lot of people that 30% of men can't last more than a minute.
Yeah, there's a huge market size for sure.
Huge. And most guys, when I say that, they're shocked. They're like, no way, 30%. And it is. And why people are surprised is because we as men don't like to talk about it. You're not going to be sitting at the local beer pub and say, hey, how long did you last night? And have that conversation. We just don't talk about it. So it's one of those things that's kind of left in silence. But the reality is more people suffer from that than erectile dysfunction. And we know erectile dysfunction is a multi-billion-dollar industry thanks to Viagra and Cialis and some of the other drugs out there.
Yeah, definitely. If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist, and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. So one of the things you mentioned was really working with a company to help with the marketing. What do you think is the most important part of the marketing? Is it the video? Is it the campaign page? Is it warming people up? What do you think is the most important part of the marketing for you?
It's a good question. I actually haven't asked our agency partner if there's any analytics to see, where people are stopping, and are they stopping at the video and making investments, or is it the campaign page? I think personally, it's the kind of that campaign page. Who's your team? What's the validation and kind of these reviews that you referenced earlier? I mean, yes, videos for me are important, but I don't know how much time people are going to sit and go through all the videos. I'd love to see that. And maybe that campaign analytics is there and I haven't asked for it yet. But I think for us, this agency really helped to simplify our message and really helped to design the campaign page where it was very easy for people to relate to. Because unlike AI or NFTs or whatever, where it's maybe difficult to understand what that is that someone's investing in. I mean, how complicated is, sex and wanting to last longer in the bedroom, right? So that it was pretty easy to understand. And I think the agency did a real nice job of kind of laying out that story and then kind of putting a reference back to Viagra. And basically the message being that, since the launch of Viagra in 1998, and yes, it's been that long, there's been nothing else in the area of male sexual health that's come on the market. So what we have is an opportunity to be the next big thing since Viagra. And we knew internally that Viagra was there, but we didn't have that as a message. And the agency really, helped put that as the key message, as that this is the next big thing since Viagra.
So, yeah, almost like putting it in the box and having the right framing is super important for sure. When it comes to this, I talk about this a lot, and I think people are so surprised that strangers will invest in your company online, right? For you, do you think it's because people believe in the problem solution? Do you think it's because they see your operating history and they really resonate with that? What do you think really makes people make that, pull the trigger on taking action?
Yeah, I think for us, it's as I mentioned earlier, it's something that's relatable. People can understand it, right? So for all these testimonials that we have, a number of them are like, I suffer from this. I can't wait for this product. I've tried other things, so they can relate to it. Now, one of the things that I've been a little disappointed with in the campaign page is that we set a minimum at $200. Maybe we should have gone higher than that because we've got a bunch of people that invested $200, and I just wonder, are they thinking that with that investment that they'll have the opportunity to be the first customer, which they will. We're going to obviously reach out and market the product to them right away. But I would have liked to see higher dollar amounts as well as more investors. We've got 147 investors right now going into this. Just how prevalent this condition is, I was hoping we'd kind of be in the thousands of people that would be investing into this. And I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It could be due to the fact that we are pre-revenue, and if we were ready to sell the product right now and did, for example, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, maybe we'd have several thousand backers because they know they're getting the product. Whereas we still are, several months away from launching the product.
When it comes to doing the campaign, was there any reason why you chose WeFunder over some of the other platforms that are out of there? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, we had reached out to Start Engine, and honestly, they weren't interested in the sexual health and wellness play at that time. So we were a little disappointed with that. Republic, we had looked to that as well. And we know of one other company that did a raise through Republic that was in the sexual health and wellness area that didn't go so well. So WeFunder was actually, we liked what we heard from them. They were willing to take us on. They hadn't done a sexual health and wellness campaign before, and they were looking to get into more verticals within their offering. So they were very supportive early on of what we were doing. And then the agency partner that we worked with, they were very supportive of WeFunder, had a lot of experience. In fact, they were a preferred marketing partner at the time of WeFunder. So cool. That was another important input that came into it.
Awesome. So I just had one or two questions on sort of your experience, in building out this company, but also some of your experience when it comes to what's worked well for you in your career. So we get a lot of people listening to this show who see what you're doing and they're like, wow, like I can't believe that this guy, came up with an idea and now he's executing on this. Now he's raising money, right? And then you're going forward and you're spreading the word about this. What do you feel like has been an important trait that's led to your success in your career thus far?
Definitely listening to customers, listening to them, understanding what the unmet needs are, not necessarily jumping to what they're saying a solution is, because 9 times out of 10, what someone says is the right solution isn't the real good solution. There's a better solution, but you really need to start peeling back that onion to understand what is the unmet need you're really trying to solve here. And then once you know that, then it's, surrounded yourself by, in my case, engineers that could really help come up with solutions to unmet needs. And in the case of what we're doing at Morari, it's really understanding the anatomy and the physiology of an ejaculation. How does it occur? Why does it occur? What's that mechanism from a physiology standpoint that's going on? And once you understand that, then trying to design a product around that anatomy and physiology. So for us, that's been kind of paramount as one of the things that we just need to do at the beginning is really base the design and the concept off of science and data, and then again work with talented engineers to come up with cool new solutions for it. Because I think a lot of founders may fail in the sense that they've got this idea, and the idea could be a solution, but there could be many others that they just aren't open-minded to because they're so focused on this one idea, when that may solve it. But if you start looking at the product from an unmet need perspective, perhaps there's other ways that you can solve it that could be quicker to market, cheaper, and faster.
So one other quick question, when it comes to your experience launching this, I think a lot of people, kind of push up against obstacles and they have to overcome them, right? Why have you been so persistent when it comes to this problem, when it comes to building out this company, when it comes to reaching out to investors? What's really led to your persistence, would you say, when it comes to this?
I think it comes down to, if I'm not persistent, who's going to be, right? I mean, it's, I've got to, continue on with the vision. I got to keep communicating that. Yes, there are obstacles every day. And one of the things that I was advised early on in my startup career by a mentor was, Jeff, if you're going to take this on, 100% of your time is about raising money. And then 50% of your time is running the business. And at the time, we had just won the Procter & Gamble award. And I'm like, it can't be that difficult raising money. I mean, we've got this huge market here, sex sells. We won this Procter & Gamble award. But little did I know is it's a grind raising money, and you need to be persistent because you can't tell you how many no's I've gotten. I've got a folder of all the no's and the declines. I haven't gone through that and counted them yet. I don't want to, but it's just you hear no all the time, and you got to know how to manage the highs and the lows. There are days where I just feel I'm on top of the world, and then within an hour, you could be down in the dump again. So it's how do you manage the highs and the lows, and then having that persistence, because stay true to that vision. If you've got a vision and based on market research that there's a market opportunity for it, you're going to get there. But it's going to be a tough road for the most part, and it is for us. We've got a long road to go yet, and super excited to raise over $500,000, but we need another roughly $1 million to get through FDA approval and get the product to a launch readiness stage. So we got a long ways to go. And we're hopeful that the crowdfunding close that we're going to be doing here in the next few weeks will get us a couple hundred more thousand, but we don't know. And that's one of the downsides of crowdfunding, is you just don't know. It's really hard to forecast, financially, how much is going to come in through crowdfunding.
And to what degree have you learned about building your network? Is it mainly through you going to different trade shows and LinkedIn, or how are you going about building your network to either get in contact with those investors or partners that you've had in the business?
For us, we really kind of hit the map, if you will, at the Consumer Electronics Show. 3 years ago, it was the first year that they allowed sex tech to be a category within the Consumer Electronics Show. And for those that don't know, the Consumer Electronics Show, it's one of the largest conventions in the world. It's at Las Vegas every year, all kinds of tech that's there. Well, the first year that we were there, we just had a ton of PR, as I mentioned earlier, Forbes, Men's Health Magazine, and Gadget, CNET. And that really, allowed us as a company our brand to come out, but also me. And several articles were written about the company, but then they referenced me, even my dress style in some regards. And then, this Hogsworth professor with big dad energy. And I wasn't a big Harry Potter guy, so I had to call my daughter up and say, is that a good thing if someone's calling me Hogsworth professor? And she's like, yeah, Dad, that's fine. That's good. So that was kind of that aha moment to say, okay, we've got the opportunity. There's a lot of PR here. But then, how do I expand my network to really get the talent and the resources needed to get the ball moving forward here? And that was, here in the Minneapolis area where I live, it's a medical device hotbed. A lot of the largest medical device companies in the world come from the Minneapolis area. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talent here that I can reach out to, whether it's engineering, whether it's regulatory, whether it's clinical, whether it's legal. a lot of good resources here that I can network with and try to not get free help, but get help at a reduced cost early on, with hopefully rewards down in the future for those that are supporting us.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a lot of also, just staying focused, right? And being willing to persist, like you mentioned before. And yeah, thank you for sharing a lot of those tips and advice. Where can people go to learn more about your campaign? And I know you're still currently live on WeFunder. Where can they go to learn more?
Yeah, if you go to WeFunder.com and then the / Morari, Morari Inc. Inc. So Morari Inc. And then you can go to MorariMedical.com, which is our website. And we will be launching soon a landing page for our product. So for now, I would say Morari, or the WeFunder page at Morari Inc.
Awesome. And my final question for you, and you can speak directly to the listeners. You can end with a final quote, a final thing that someone has told you that's been useful in your career. You could end with a word of encouragement or a final tip on crowdfunding. Any of those, and we can end on that note.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say, anybody that has an idea out there that you believe has opportunity, don't be afraid of stepping out and, exposing some vulnerabilities. Have that courage to step out there and do something, because if you're not going to do it, who is? And if you've got the idea and you've done the research and you can't find someone that's solving for that problem, then you're that solution. But it takes that courage. It takes being vulnerable, especially in my case, dealing with sexual health and wellness and premature ejaculation. Can't tell you how many jokes I get about it. But after you get through that humor and the jokes, people want to have serious conversations. Mm-hmm. So you may think what you're working on is a joke. You may think it's not relevant. But once you start having those questions and asking the questions, you're going to realize that there's probably a big need that exists. And you need to stay persistent. You need to manage the highs and the lows. I'm not a big golfer. I like to golf, but I'm terrible at it. But startup and crowdfunding is kind of like a 18 holes. Know that next hole's coming up. You could have a terrible hole, but know that this next one's coming up, and you could kill it off of that hole. And again, it's all about managing those highs and the lows.
Well said. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'll include the link in the show notes, and good luck with your remaining days here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. So I hope that you took away that not only is doing an equity campaign possible, but it's also something that you can replicate the strategy of when it comes to many other campaigns that are going live on WeFunder, many other campaigns that are going live on other platforms like Start Engine, Seed Invest, etc. And it is, to me, actually very realistic to do a mega raise on one of these platforms. Actually seeing it happening much more frequently. And it's actually easier, in my opinion, than doing something like a traditional venture capital raise where it's going to take you tons and tons of time to actually coordinate that, and it's going to take lots and lots of players, and maybe the venture capital markets are cooling as well. Regulation crowdfunding is hot, man. I see campaigns every single week that are getting funding. So this is something that you can really turn into, in my opinion, a snowball when it comes to your marketing effort. So you don't just necessarily do it for the raising the capital. I mean, that's great, right? But at the same time, you can use this as a media event. You can use this as a marketing phenomenon where you start to spread around your brand name so that other people know about your company, they know about your product, they know about your services, and can also use it as well for getting some great feedback when it comes to having early adopter customers. So there's a lot of benefits, I think, to doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. It is not for everyone, though. I will go out on a limb, and I will say that. I don't think this is for everyone. And here's why. You got to be willing to give up a percentage of equity in your company in order to actually raise the capital. So if that's something you are willing to do, number one, go and check out my free course at crowdcrux.com/equity course. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/equity course. Great place to get started when it comes to doing an equity crowdfunding campaign. In addition, if you're ready to really figure this out for your business, for your startup, for your existing growing brand, if you really want to incorporate this and do it this year, go and book a one-on-one individual coaching call with me. This is really where I take all of my information and learning and the library of crowdfunding that's in my head, and I apply it to your individual case. exactly what you got to do step by step to really knock this thing out of the park. In addition, I work with a lot of my students in terms of long-term coaching. I have some that I help with execution as well when it comes to their campaigns. So there's a lot of process that goes into doing an equity crowdfunding campaign, but it's actually way simpler than anyone would like to admit. And there's a whole easy step-by-step process that goes into launching one of these projects. So if this is something that you want to explore for your company, if you want to actually do when it comes to bringing a new product into the world, if you want to do your first raise and you want to do it online and you also want to get traction, traffic, media attentions, you want to use this as a global marketing event, go and check out and book an individual coaching call with me at this link, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. If you have enjoyed the time that you spent here, if you think it was worth your time and you learned a thing or two, leave me a positive rating and review on iTunes, or if you're listening on Spotify, or if you're listening on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, smash that thumbs up button, give me a comment that's positive, something that's nice, right? Combat all the trolls, man. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate you, and I hope you take some action this week. Again, my name is Sal, and I will see you next time.